In South Africa's tricky waters, apex predators lurk. Great white sharks, swift tiger sharks, and aggressive bull sharks. Witness 6 terrifying encounters, including a 400-pound woman's jet ski ambush. This video exposes the raw power of the ocean's deadliest creatures, leaving you breathless. Brace yourself for nature's fiercest predators in action. On a bright summer day in December 2010, the coast of Gansbaai, South Africa, was alive with activity. Known as the Great White Shark Capital of the World, Gansbaai's waters teemed with marine life, drawing tourists eager to experience the thrill of the ocean. Among them was Linda Saunders, a 34-year-old woman who weighed around 400 pounds and loved the sea. She had traveled to South Africa for an exciting holiday, seeking adventure and new experiences. Linda's morning began with the anticipation of a fun day on the water. She joined a jet skiing tour organized by a local company renowned for its safety and expertise. The tour promised breathtaking views and the opportunity to see the ocean's majestic creatures up close. As an avid lover of water sports, Linda was excited to feel the rush of the waves beneath her and the wind in her hair. The group gathered at the dock and received a brief safety lesson. The tour guide, Mark Daniels, emphasized the importance of staying within the designated area and remaining alert. Great white sharks were known to frequent these waters, and while sightings were rare during the day, caution was always advised. By mid-morning, Linda and the other tourists were racing across the sparkling blue sea on their jet skis. The sun was high, casting a golden glow on the water, and the temperature was perfect. Linda felt a sense of freedom and exhilaration as she navigated her jet ski, occasionally glancing around to soak in the stunning scenery. The ocean around Gansbaai was known for its great white shark population. These predators could grow up to 20 feet long and weigh over 2,000 pounds. They were apex predators with powerful jaws and rows of sharp teeth. Although attacks on humans were rare, these sharks added an element of danger to the waters. Linda's day was going perfectly. She enjoyed the thrill of the jet ski, the ocean's beauty, and the other tourists' camaraderie. She felt completely at ease and confident in her skills and safety measures. As she ventured farther from the group, she didn't notice the shadow moving beneath the surface. Unbeknownst to Linda, a massive great white shark was lurking nearby. Drawn by the noise and movement of the jet skis, the shark had been circling the area, its curiosity piqued. The predator's movements were stealthy and deliberate, its keen senses picking up on the vibrations in the water. Unaware of the impending danger, Linda continued to enjoy her ride, oblivious to the menace below. The tranquility of the day was about to be shattered. As Linda took a moment to pause and look around, the great white shark made its move. With a sudden surge, the shark rammed immensely into the jet ski, knocking Linda off and into the water. The impact was so strong that it left her disoriented and struggling to understand what had happened. The water around Linda churned as she fought to stay afloat. Panic set in as she realized she was in the water with a great white shark. The jet ski floated nearby, its engine still running, but the shark's powerful blow had left her stunned and vulnerable. Linda's heart raced as she tried to swim back to the jet ski, every movement a struggle. The shark circled her, its presence palpable. Linda could see the dorsal fin cutting through the water, a sight that filled her with dread. She knew she had to stay calm and think clearly. She approached the jet ski with strength and determination, but the shark was relentless. It swam closer, its massive body a dark shadow beneath her. With each stroke, Linda felt the water resistance against her body. The shark's presence was a constant threat, with swift and predatory movements. She grabbed the jet ski as she reached it, her hands shaking from fear and exertion. She tried to pull herself up, but the weight and the panic made it difficult. Nearby, a group of boaters noticed the commotion. Among them was Jake Wilson, an experienced boater who had seen shark encounters. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Jake and his friends rushed towards Linda, shouting and waving to distract the shark. The boat's engine roared to life, speeding towards the struggling woman. Linda managed to get one leg over the jet ski, but the shark was too close for comfort. It lunged again, its jaws snapping dangerously near her. She kicked at the water, trying to fend off the predator. Her efforts were desperate, but the shark was relentless. The boaters arrived just in time, positioning their vessel between Linda and the shark. Jake threw a rope at Linda, urging her to grab hold. She clung to the rope and they pulled her onto the boat with a combined effort. The shark made one final pass, its teeth glinting in the sunlight before retreating into the depths. Linda collapsed on the deck, gasping for breath, her body trembling from the ordeal. The boaters quickly assessed her condition, ensuring she had no severe injuries. Linda's wetsuit had provided some protection, but the shock and fear were overwhelming. They wrapped her in a blanket, offering comfort and reassurance as they sped back to shore. On land, Linda was taken to a local clinic for a thorough checkup. The encounter had shaken her, but she was grateful to be alive. The quick thinking and bravery of the nearby boaters had saved her life. The experience was a stark reminder of the power and unpredictability of the ocean's predators. Linda's story spread quickly, becoming a topic of discussion among locals and tourists alike. Though she had faced a terrifying ordeal, Linda's spirit remained unbroken, her love for the sea as strong as ever. In the icy waters off the coast of Norway, near the fishing village of Tromsø, a small fishing boat named the Nordic Pearl set out early on a crisp January morning in 2008. The sun had yet to rise, and the cold wind bit through the thick clothing of the fishermen aboard. The sea was calm, a deceptive tranquility masking the dangers that could emerge from the deep. The crew of the Nordic Pearl consisted of 3 seasoned fishermen: Erik Larsen, a 45-year-old veteran with decades of experience; Anders Olsen, a 38-year-old with a keen sense for the sea; and young Lars Pedersen, a 25-year-old eager to learn the trade from his elders. They were out on one of their routine trips, hoping to catch cod and herring that thrived in these northern waters. The day began like any other. The men shared jokes and stories, their spirits high despite the freezing temperatures. They knew these waters well and had faced many challenges together. As they sailed further from the shore, the sky began to lighten, casting a pale glow over the vast expanse of ocean. The men prepared their nets and lines, focusing on the tasks. Norway's coastal waters, including orcas and killer whales, were known for their rich marine life. These majestic creatures often traveled in pods, hunting and communicating with each other through a series of clicks and whistles. While orcas were generally not a threat to humans, their size and strength commanded respect. By mid-morning, the crew had already caught a decent haul. Erik and Anders worked efficiently, and their movements were precise and practiced. Lars watched and learned, eager to prove himself. The men were in good spirits, feeling optimistic about the day's catch. They had no reason to suspect this trip would be any different from the countless others they had made. As they worked, the men occasionally glimpsed orcas in the distance, their black and white bodies cutting through the water with grace. The sight of these animals was not uncommon, and the fishermen admired their beauty from afar. The orcas seemed to follow a school of fish, their behavior typical and non-threatening. Suddenly, without warning, the orcas changed direction and headed straight for the Nordic Pearl. The fishermen noticed the unusual behavior and felt a twinge of unease. Sensing something was wrong, Erik shouted for the crew to be alert. The orcas' approach was swift and deliberate, synchronized and aggressive. The first impact was so powerful that it nearly knocked the men off their feet. An orca rammed into the side of the boat, violently rocking it. Anders and Lars grabbed onto the railings, struggling to maintain their balance. Erik tried to steer the ship away, but the orcas were relentless. Another powerful hit followed, and the boat lurched dangerously to one side. The men realized they were in serious trouble. The orcas, displaying a level of aggression they had never witnessed, continued to attack the boat. The water churned with their movements, creating waves that battered the vessel. The fishermen's hearts pounded with fear as they fought to keep the boat upright, but the orcas' assault was too strong. With a final, devastating blow, the Nordic Pearl capsized. The fishermen were thrown into the freezing water, their cries lost in the chaos. The boat overturned, its contents spilling into the sea. The men struggled to stay afloat, their heavy clothing weighing them down. The orcas circled them, their presence a menacing reminder of the danger they faced. The icy water shocked the fishermen's systems, and their breaths came in ragged gasps as they fought to stay above the surface. Erik, Anders, and Lars clung to debris from the capsized boat, their bodies numb from the cold. The orcas still circling seemed to be observing their every move. The fishermen knew they had to act quickly to survive. Eric, the most experienced, took charge. He signaled to the others to stay close and keep calm. The orcas' behavior was unlike anything he had ever seen, and he knew they needed to get out of the water as soon as possible. He reached for the emergency flare attached to his life vest with trembling hands. The flare was their only hope of signaling for help. As Eric prepared to ignite the flare, an orca swam closer, its massive body gliding silently beneath the surface. The sight of the creature's dorsal fin sent a wave of fear through him. He knew that one wrong move could provoke another attack. He lit the flare, the bright red light piercing the morning gloom. The men watched Eric hold the flare high, hoping someone nearby would see the signal. The flare's light deters the orcas momentarily. They backed off slightly, giving the fishermen a brief respite. Eric and Anders took the opportunity to search for a more stable piece of debris to hold onto. They found a section of the boat's still floating hull and helped Lars onto it. The young man was shivering uncontrollably, his face pale with shock. Minutes passed like hours as the fishermen waited, their eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of rescue. The flare continued to burn, casting a red glow over the water. The orcas, though still present, kept their distance. The men's hope began to waver, but Eric remained determined to keep them safe. Finally, the sound of a distant engine broke through the silence. A Coast Guard vessel appeared on the horizon, heading towards the flare's light. Relief washed over the fishermen as the boat approached, its crew ready to assist. The Coast Guard quickly assessed the situation, lowering a rescue raft into the water. One by one, the fishermen were pulled to safety. The Coast Guard crew worked swiftly, wrapping the men in thermal blankets and administering first aid. The fishermen were exhausted, their bodies racked with cold and fear, but they were alive. The Coast Guard vessel sped back to shore, leaving the orcas behind in the depths. In the warm summer afternoon sun on July 18, 2007, the Miller family enjoyed a beach day at Daytona Beach, a popular spot in Florida. The clear, shallow waters were inviting, and the beach was dotted with families, umbrellas, and laughter. Daytona Beach was known for its calm waves and safe swimming conditions, making it a favorite among locals and tourists. John Miller, a 40-year-old accountant, and his wife Emily, a 38-year-old lawyer, had taken their two children, 10-year-old Lucas and 8-year-old Olivia, for a much-needed family outing, and the day had been perfect so far. They arrived early to claim a good spot near the lifeguard tower and spent the morning building sandcastles, playing beach volleyball, and swimming in the gentle surf. John and Emily watched over their children as they splashed in the shallow water. The family felt at ease, enjoying the beauty of the Gulf of Mexico. The water was warm and clear, allowing them to see the small fish darting around their feet. It was an idyllic day filled with the simple joys of sun, sand, and sea. Florida's coastal waters were home to various marine life, including the bull shark. Bull sharks were known for their aggressive nature and ability to thrive in salt and fresh water. They were often found in shallow waters, making them a significant threat to swimmers. Despite this, sightings were rare, and the beach had not experienced any recent incidents. As the afternoon wore on, John took a break from swimming to relax on the beach while Emily stayed in the water with Lucas and Olivia. The children played a game of tag, their laughter ringing across the waves. John watched them with a smile, feeling content and grateful for this precious family time. Suddenly, a dark shape moved in the water, catching John's attention. He sat up, squinting at the figure gliding beneath the surface. At first, he thought it might be a harmless fish or a piece of seaweed. But as the shape grew closer, John's heart began to race. It was a bull shark, unmistakable with its stout body and blunt snout, heading straight towards his children. John's mind raced with fear and urgency. He leaped to his feet and ran towards the water, shouting to Emily to get the kids out. Seeing the panic in John's eyes, Emily quickly grabbed Olivia and pulled her towards the shore. But Lucas, who had ventured farther out, was directly in the shark's path. Without hesitation, John plunged into the water, swimming with all his might toward Lucas. The shark, sensing movement, accelerated, its powerful body slicing through the water. John reached Lucas as the shark closed in, pushing his son behind him to shield him from the predator. The bull shark lunged, its jaws snapping dangerously close to John's leg. He kicked at the water, trying to fend off the shark while urging Lucas to swim safely. The shark circled back, more determined than ever. John felt a surge of adrenaline as he prepared to face the next attack. His only thought was to protect his son at all costs. The bull shark lunged again, clamping its powerful jaws around John's leg. Pain shot through him, but he fought to stay conscious and focused. He punched at the shark's snout, a tactic he remembered reading about, hoping to disorient the predator. The shark's grip loosened momentarily, allowing John to push Lucas farther towards the shore. Blood mixed with the salt water, and the sight of it spurred John to keep fighting. He kicked and thrashed, using every ounce of strength to keep the shark at bay. The commotion drew the attention of nearby beachgoers, who began to shout for help. The lifeguards, trained for such emergencies, sprang into action. Emily had reached the shore with Olivia and turned back to see the horrific scene unfolding. Her heart pounded with fear as she watched John struggle against the shark. She felt helpless but knew the lifeguards were their best hope. The lifeguards raced towards the water, carrying flotation devices and a first aid kit. John's vision blurred with pain and exhaustion, but he focused on Lucas, who was now within reach of the lifeguards. One of the lifeguards grabbed Lucas and pulled him to safety, while another headed towards John. Sensing more movement, the shark lunged at John's injured leg. The lifeguard reached John in time and used the flotation device to push the shark away. Finally deterred, the shark swam off, leaving John in a cloud of blood and pain. The lifeguard secured John onto the flotation device and began returning him to shore. As they reached the shallows, other lifeguards joined in to help lift John out of the water. He was pale and weak, his leg badly mauled. The lifeguards applied pressure to the wound, trying to stop the bleeding while radioing for an ambulance. Emily rushed to John's side, tears streaming down her face as she held his hand. The ambulance arrived within minutes, and the paramedics quickly assessed John's condition. They stabilized his leg and loaded him onto a stretcher, rushing him to the nearest hospital. Emily and the children followed in a friend's car, their hearts heavy with fear and worry. At the hospital, John was taken into surgery to repair the damage to his leg. The doctors worked tirelessly to clean the wounds and prevent infection. The doctors were able to save his leg, though it would take months of rehabilitation for him to recover fully. The family remained by his side, their bond strengthened by their ordeal. The attack left a profound impact on the Miller family. They were grateful for the quick actions of the lifeguards and the medical team that saved John's life. The beach community rallied around them, offering support and encouragement during John's recovery. In August 2005, friends set out for a weekend camping trip near Darwin in the heart of the Australian outback. The weather was perfect, with clear blue skies and a gentle breeze. The vast wilderness of the Northern Territory was both beautiful and rugged, offering an escape from the hustle and bustle of city life. The group consisted of Steve Mitchell, a 30-year-old outdoor enthusiast, his girlfriend Jenny Roberts, a 28-year-old nurse, and their friends Paul Davis and Lisa Turner, both 32-year-old civil engineers. Eager to explore the remote areas around the Mary River, renowned for its stunning landscapes and abundant wildlife, they set off on their adventure. Arriving at their campsite in the late morning, they quickly set up their tents and organized their supplies. The site was nestled near the edge of a dense forest, with the riverbank just a short walk away. The Mary River, named by the locals, was home to the formidable saltwater crocodile. These apex predators, known for their stealth and power, could grow up to 23 feet long. The day was spent hiking and exploring the surrounding area. Steve, an experienced hiker, led the group along the trails, pointing out various plants and animals. The outback was alive with the sounds of birds and insects, creating a sense of tranquility. The friends were in high spirits, enjoying the wilderness's freedom and adventure. As the afternoon turned into evening, the group returned to their campsite to prepare dinner. They built a campfire and cooked a simple meal, sharing stories and laughter under the starlit sky. The beauty of the outback at night was mesmerizing, and the friends felt a deep sense of peace. After dinner, Steve decided to walk down to the riverbank to refill their water bottles. Jenny warned him to be careful and aware of local wildlife's dangers. Steve reassured her, confident in his abilities and knowledge of the area. He grabbed the empty bottles and a flashlight and went to the water's edge through the darkened path. The river was calm, its surface reflecting the moonlight. Steve kneeled to fill the bottles, unaware of the lurking danger beneath the water. Saltwater crocodiles, known for their ambush hunting tactics, often remained motionless, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Steve was focused on his task, oblivious to the threat. Back at the campsite, the others chatted and enjoyed the peaceful night. Suddenly, a loud splash and a terrifying scream pierced the air. Jenny, Paul, and Lisa jumped, their hearts pounding with fear. They grabbed their flashlights and ran towards the river, following the sounds of the struggle. When the group reached the riverbank, they were met with a horrifying sight. A massive saltwater crocodile had latched onto Steve, dragging him towards the deeper part of the river. Steve fought with all his strength, but the crocodile's grip was unyielding. The water churned violently as the struggle ensued, with Steve's desperate cries echoing in the night. Jenny, Paul, and Lisa acted quickly, their fear replaced by a fierce determination to save their friend. Paul grabbed a fallen branch, and Lisa found a large rock. Jenny, her mind racing, picked up another branch and started hitting the water to distract the crocodile. The beast momentarily loosened its grip, allowing Steve to pull away. The crocodile lunged again, its jaws snapping shut on Steve's leg. The pain was excruciating, but Steve managed to grab the branch Jenny was holding out to him. The friends pulled together with strength to bring Steve to shore. The crocodile's thrashing created waves that made it challenging to keep their footing. Paul struck the crocodile with the branch, aiming for its sensitive snout. The crocodile released Steve momentarily, allowing him to get closer to the shore. Lisa threw the rock, hitting the crocodile and causing it to retreat slightly. The group's relentless efforts began to pay off, but they knew they had to act fast before the crocodile attacked again. Steve, bleeding and exhausted, finally reached the shallows. Jenny and Lisa grabbed him, dragging him out of the water while Paul continued to fend off the crocodile. Realizing it had lost its prey, the predator disappeared into the depths, leaving the friends gasping for breath and shaking with adrenaline. Once they were safely away from the water, Jenny assessed Steve's injuries. His leg was severely bitten, and he was losing a lot of blood. Lisa and Paul quickly fashioned a makeshift stretcher from branches in their jackets, knowing they had to get Steve back to the campsite and call for help. The trek back to the campsite was slow and arduous. Steve's condition was critical and every minute counted. Paul and Lisa carried the stretcher while Jenny stayed by Steve's side, applying pressure to his wounds and trying to keep him conscious. They finally reached the campsite, where they used a satellite phone to call for emergency services. The wait for the rescue team felt like an eternity. Jenny continued to tend to Steve's wounds, speaking softly to keep him calm. Paul and Lisa built the fire, hoping its light would help guide the rescuers. The friends were exhausted, but their determination to save Steve kept them going. The rescue team arrived, swiftly taking over and stabilizing Steve's condition. He was airlifted to the nearest hospital, with Jenny accompanying him while Paul and Lisa stayed behind to pack up the campsite. At the hospital, Steve underwent surgery to repair the damage to his leg. The doctors worked tirelessly, managing to save his leg despite the severe injuries. Steve's road to recovery would be long, but he was alive, thanks to his friends' quick actions and bravery. In the vibrant, crystal-clear waters of the Caribbean, near Cocos Island, a group of divers set out on a sunny morning in August 2003. The weather was perfect, with a gentle breeze and the sun casting a golden glow on the turquoise sea. The group was eager to explore the renowned coral reefs surrounding the island, known for their stunning beauty and diverse marine life. The team consisted of 4 experienced divers: David Anderson, a 40-year-old marine biologist; Sarah Johnson, a 35-year-old underwater photographer; Michael Lee, a 32-year-old dive instructor; and Emma Davis, a 28-year-old marine conservationist. They had all come together for a week-long expedition to document the reef's health and capture footage of its inhabitants. After a hearty breakfast, they boarded their dive boat, the Ocean Explorer, and headed towards a dive site known as Shark Alley. The name, while intimidating, was a reference to the high number of shark sightings in the area, particularly hammerhead sharks. These unique predators, with their distinctive hammer-shaped heads, were a common sight around Cocos Island. Known for their size and agility, Hammerhead sharks could grow up to 20 feet long and were often seen hunting in schools. By mid-morning, the boat reached the dive site. The crew checked their gear and discussed the dive plan and safety protocols. David, the most experienced diver, emphasized the importance of staying together and maintaining communication through hand signals. They knew that while hammerhead sharks were generally not aggressive towards humans, it was crucial to remain vigilant. The divers slipped into the warm, inviting water, descending slowly into the depths. The underwater world that greeted them was breathtaking. Coral formations teemed with life, schools of colorful fish darted around, and the sunlight filtered through the water, creating a magical atmosphere. The team spread out slightly, each focused on their tasks. David and Emma taking notes and samples while Sarah and Michael captured the scene on camera. The morning passed smoothly as the divers explored the reef, marveling at the surrounding beauty and documenting the vibrant ecosystem and its inhabitants. Occasionally, hammerhead sharks appeared in the distance, their movements graceful and purposeful. The divers maintained a respectful distance, aware of the shark's presence but not feeling threatened. As they ventured deeper into the reef, the water relaxed, and the light became cooler and dimmer. The divers stayed close, communicating through hand signals and sharing their discoveries. It was a perfect dive, filled with the wonder and excitement that had drawn each of them to this profession. Suddenly, the mood shifted. David noticed a change in the shark's behavior. The hammerheads, swimming calmly, started to circle the divers with increasing speed and proximity. He signaled to the others to stay close and remain calm. The sharks' movements were becoming more erratic, their curiosity more aggressive. The divers formed a tight circle, their backs to each other, creating a defensive barrier with their gear. The hammerhead sharks, now numbering around a dozen, continued to close in. The divers' hearts raced as they realized they were surrounded. The sharks' eyes glinted in the dim light, their powerful bodies slicing through the water with alarming precision. David signaled to the group to start a slow retreat towards the boat. They moved methodically, maintaining their formation. Michael and Sarah kept their cameras rolling, documenting the tense encounter while also keeping an eye on the sharks. Emma held her breath, her mind racing with fear and determination. As they moved, one of the sharks darted closer, brushing past Michael's leg. He felt a surge of panic but kept his movements controlled. The shark circled back, more aggressive this time, and nudged his fins. Michael kicked out, trying to create distance, while David used his dive knife to tap against his tank, hoping the noise would deter the shark. The shark's behavior became increasingly aggressive. One shark lunged at Emma, dangerously close to her arm, snapping its jaws. She used her camera to push it away, the shark's rough skin grazing her hand. Blood filled the water from the small cut, adding to the tension. The sharks, sensing the blood, grew more frenzied. David realized they needed to signal for help. He grabbed the emergency flare from his belt and ignited it, the bright light and bubbles creating a distraction. The sharks momentarily backed off, giving the divers a brief window to move faster. They kicked harder, their lungs burning as they tried to reach the boat's safety. The flare's light faded, and the sharks resumed their aggressive circling. One shark charged at Sarah, its jaws snapping shut on her camera. She fought back, yanking the camera free and using it to fend off the predator. David and Michael moved to shield her, their knives and gear creating a makeshift barrier. The surface was now visible above them, the boat's silhouette a beacon of hope. The divers pushed on, every muscle straining with effort and fear. The sharks, relentless, continued their assault. David, leading the way, felt a sharp tug as one of the sharks bit into his fin, pulling him back. He twisted free, the fin tearing but holding. Sensing near the end, Emma gathered her strength and propelled herself upwards. She reached the boat first, grabbing the ladder and pulling herself up with shaking hands. Michael and Sarah followed, their bodies exhausted, but their minds focused on survival. The last in line, David fought off another shark before reaching the ladder. The divers clambered onto the boat, collapsing in relief as the crew helped them aboard. The sharks, thwarted, swam away, their shapes disappearing into the depths. The divers lay on the deck, panting and shaking, their hearts racing from the close encounter. The crew quickly checked them for injuries, treating Emma's cut and inspecting David's torn fin. The divers exchanged looks of relief and disbelief, the reality of their narrow escape sinking in. They had faced a school of hammerhead sharks and lived to tell the tale. The ordeal strengthened their bond as a team. The divers' hearts slowly returned to an average pace as they sat on the boat, their minds replaying the terrifying moments. The reef's beauty had turned into a battle for survival, and they knew they had been lucky to escape. The experience left them with a deep respect for the power and unpredictability of the ocean's predators. In January 2002, a team of Argentine researchers established a temporary research station near Paradise Bay in the icy expanse of the Antarctic. Antarctica's pristine white wilderness stretched endlessly, broken only by the deep blue of the ocean and towering icebergs. The air was crisp and biting, a constant reminder of the harsh environment. Among the team was Dr. Jack Thompson, a 38-year-old marine biologist dedicated to studying the unique marine life beneath the Antarctic ice. The day began like any other, with Jack preparing his diving equipment and reviewing the day's objectives. The team was excited to gather data on the ecosystem under the ice, hoping to uncover new insights into the life forms that thrived in these extreme conditions. The weather was favorable, with clear skies and relatively calm winds. Jack and his support team, including his assistant Maria Lopez and two other researchers, Daniel Ortiz and Elena Garcia, planned to dive beneath the ice near a massive iceberg that had recently calved from the mainland. The site was known for its rich biodiversity, making it an ideal location for their research. The team set out towards the dive site after a hearty breakfast and a thorough briefing. The journey across the frozen landscape was both awe-inspiring and treacherous, with the team navigating around crevasses and ice formations. Upon reaching the site, they set up their equipment, ensuring everything was in place for a safe and productive dive. Leopard seals, known for their powerful builds and fierce predatory instincts, inhabited these waters. These seals could grow up to 12 feet long and were notorious for their aggressive behavior, especially towards anything that ventured into their territory. Jack and his team were well aware of the risks and had taken all necessary precautions. Jack donned his diving suit and checked his gear before slipping into the frigid water. The cold was intense even through his insulated suit, but he was used to it. As he descended beneath the ice, he was greeted by a mesmerizing underwater world. The light filtered through the ice, creating an ethereal glow illuminating the marine life around him. Schools of fish darted through the water, and strange otherworldly creatures moved among the ice formations. Jack was in his element, carefully collecting samples and taking notes. His team monitored him from the surface, ready to assist at a moment's notice. Everything was going smoothly, and Jack felt a sense of fulfillment as he documented the wonders of this hidden world. Jack noticed a large shadow moving in the distance as he explored deeper. His heart skipped a beat as he realized it was a leopard seal. The seal moved gracefully through the water, its sleek body cutting through the icy depths. Jack knew he had to stay calm and avoid sudden movements. Leopard seals are curious by nature but can become aggressive if threatened. Jack signaled to his team that he had spotted the seal and continued his work, keeping a wary eye on the predator. The seal seemed to lose interest and swam away, much to Jack's relief. He resumed his tasks, carefully maneuvering around the ice formations and documenting the marine life. Suddenly, the seal reappeared, this time much closer. Jack froze, watching as the seal approached with alarming speed. Before he could react, the seal lunged at him, its mighty jaws snapping shut around his leg. Pain shot through Jack's body as he struggled to free himself, the seal's grip unyielding. Jack's mind raced with fear and pain as the leopard seal tightened its grip on his leg. He knew he had to act fast. The seal's powerful jaws could cause severe injury or even death. He jabbed his diving knife at the seal's snout to make it release him. The seal thrashed, its movements violent and chaotic, but Jack's actions managed to loosen its grip slightly. The cold water and the shock of the attack made it difficult for Jack to think clearly. He kicked with his free leg, desperate to get away. The seal momentarily released him, only to strike again, aiming for his arm. Jack barely managed to block the attack with his knife, but the seal's teeth grazed his suit, tearing through the material. Above the ice, Jack's team noticed the commotion. Maria, Daniel, and Elena sprang into action, their training kicking in. They quickly prepared the rescue equipment to immediately pull Jack out of the water. The tension was palpable, their hearts pounding with fear for their colleague. Under the water, Jack fought to stay conscious. He used the ice formations for cover, maneuvering around them to create a barrier between him and the seal. The undeterred seal continued its pursuit, its eyes locked on Jack. Each movement was a struggle, the pain in his leg and arm intense. Jack's breathing grew labored, his oxygen supply running low. He knew he had to signal his team for help. Using his remaining strength, he activated the emergency beacon on his suit. The signal reached the surface, alerting his team to his dire situation. They prepared to lower the rescue sled, a specially designed device to quickly pull divers out of the water. The seal lunged again, its jaws closing around Jack's leg. He felt the crushing pressure and knew he had to get free. Summoning all his strength, he twisted and turned, using his knife to fend off the predator. The seal's grip loosened, and Jack seized the moment to swim towards the rescue sled. The team above worked precisely, lowering the sled into the water and maneuvering it toward Jack. He grabbed onto the sled, his body shaking with exhaustion and pain. The seal made one last attempt to attack, but Jack managed to kick it away, using the sled as a shield. The team pulled him up, their hearts racing as they saw the extent of his injuries. As Jack emerged from the water, the cold air hit him like a wall. His leg and arm were bleeding. The wounds were deep and painful. The team quickly wrapped him in thermal blankets, applying pressure to the wounds to stop the bleeding. Jack's vision blurred and the pain was overwhelming, but he knew he was safe. The team worked swiftly to stabilize Jack's condition. They administered first aid, cleaned the wounds, and secured him onto a stretcher. The journey back to the research station was challenging, the terrain unforgiving, but the team's determination never wavered. They knew every second counted toward getting Jack the medical help he needed. The medical team was ready when they finally arrived at the research station. Jack was quickly transferred to a heated medical tent where the doctors and nurses began their work. Jack's condition gradually stabilized and his body responded to the treatment. The doctors monitored him closely, ensuring that the injuries were healing correctly. As Jack began his long road to recovery, the team continued their research, driven by a newfound respect for their study environment. They knew their work was necessary and the risks were part of the journey. Together, they faced the unknown, their hearts united by the challenges they had overcome.